Good evening, all of you wonderful people that are joining us in the chat now. Amanda's asked me to host tonight, and I'm of course doing it. And Amanda's going to do all of the comments and questions as we get towards the last 10 minutes of the show. But in case you are a first-time listener, you might not notice. If you're a regular listener, you probably do notice my voice is pretty Kerry Packard. And the reason why it's Kerry Packard is because I've been screaming from about 4:30 onwards in block 5. We are going to digest all of the delightfulness that was Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. Champions have been dispatched. Champions elect are in the building. Amanda, quick one. How are you feeling?
Amazing, actually. I did not expect to win. You and I both said 2-1 to them. The really weird thing was, before I went into the game, my dad was positive. That's just doesn't happen. So I was negative and he was positive. Just feel great. I'm looking forward to chatting with you, Cookie, and everybody in the chat room. Can't wait.
Yeah, Cookie, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I was feeling a little bit similarly to Amanda. I was of the mindset of I'd bite your hand off for a draw going into this game, which I think tells you everything you need to know about how we were feeling. And obviously, you guys predicted defeats, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, City, best team in the world at the minute. We had a couple of players out. I think when we saw the team line up, we were feeling a little bit deflated. It was a bit of a blow to the old confidence, but everyone to a man out there, impeccable tonight. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, atmosphere was good. I tell you what, we've come to it. We'll go chronologically as we always do with the chain of events. But with 10 minutes to go, I'm just going to have this quick shout out. With 10 minutes to go, it's 0-0 and we're all nervous. But there was an absolute explosion of different types of songs about Mikel Arteta and stuff like that. The fans in the ground were up for it. I think people on social media were up for it. It was fantastic. But Amanda, let's talk that because Cookie just mentioned
Can I
it.
just interrupt you before I forget? Chris, you know when they sung Super Mick Arteta with that, what you're just talking about? That was the loudest I've ever heard it at the Emirates.
It
It was so loud. I swear that I nearly went like that. And I'm not old and I love them loud, but it was so loud. I think every single person in that stadium that was a Gooner was singing that song. So I just wanted to mention that because I'm going to forget.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. So we get to an hour before kickoff. I was in the Duchess of Kent, which is a pub on Holloway Road, not just off. It was Liverpool Road, just off Holloway Road, which I've had a beverage with Mr. Cook before in. And there's a few of us chatting, and I'll be honest with you, I felt a bit flat, if I'm honest. I saw that lineup. I saw that we'd had no Bukayo Saka, even though he did turn up in his tracksuit bottoms. He wasn't in the squad. We've got Jorginho and Partey. Partey on the bench, but Jorginho starting with Rice. Amanda, if you can just give us a minute or two on thoughts of that lineup, because also, as you said right at the start, you and I both suggested I think we're going to lose this. And you look at that starting lineup, and you're not exactly confident, are you?
No, so we we didn't get to the game till about 30 minutes before. So I was in the car when the team was announced, and I kept seeing rumours, Saka's playing, and then all of a sudden there was an abundance of he's not even in the squad. He's not even in the squad. And I looked at Carl and I went, and this is the reason I did not want him to play against Lens. I didn't want him to go to France. I kept saying it. He'd come off twice with, dodgy legs in the last couple of games, and we needed him. So already I'd said we were going to lose 2-1. So there was nothing. I just went, not impressed with the lineup. I'm not the manager. I just hope we give as good as we can. But I wasn't over the moon. But when you expect to lose, and I'm sorry if everyone's going to have a go at me, but I did. It's an added. The pressure's gone. I didn't feel pressure today until the 86th minute, and then my God, did I feel pressure for those 9 minutes in the end. But gutted he wasn't playing, especially as Rodri and KDB were out. This was our chance. I kept saying it. This was our chance to beat them. And just felt a little bit like, I hope we do ourselves proud. And that was it. I had no we've got this, Jorginho in midfield, Saliba's going to be this. I wasn't like that. I was just like, let's hope. I would have taken a point. Jobo's just said it in the thing. I kept saying the whole way through, 0-0's all right. It's okay. Let's just not lose. Let's just not lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving this this chat from Josh. Erling Haaland, love it. Man created 0.00 xg. I think I saw on Twitter the xg philosophy. So totally marshalled by Saliba. I think defensively, our back 4 or 5, I wasn't a cookie. I don't know about you, but I wasn't too worried about that. It was that midfield, and then also, were we going to be able to stretch Man City in the wide positions, because you've got Trossard left and we were playing Gabriel Jesus right. Initial impressions on that, and then let's go up to the first sort of 15 minutes, because again, like I say, I was looking at that back lineup and thinking that's fine. Maybe they'll get in behind Zinchenko, but with David Raya playing almost as a left centre back, sometimes we can cover that sort of space. But give me some thoughts upon that opening 15 minutes, because Ake had a really, really good chance to just put it over, didn't he? And then I actually thought, and I'm going to say this, I don't think David Raya had a great game. And the fact that Mikel Arteta afterwards said he came out in sort of defence of him suggests to me that he probably knows it as well. But Cooks, some initial thoughts about lineup and then that first 15 minutes, please.
So on the defence, I thought every single one of them, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, excellent defensively. And it's very rare that I say that about Zinchenko, but I thought he was really good when he was on the pitch today. And when they brought on Jeremy Doku, who I think's been excellent for City since they bought him, I really worried about him going up against Zinchenko. And he ended up switching to the other flank and went at Ben White. But it was that first tackle that Zinchenko made on Doku where he won the ball off him. And I know we're talking about way later in the game, but that just laid down a marker for me. But all game, he was solid defensively. He knew when to drift into midfield. He knew when to stay at left back. Very intelligent performance. But we've got to talk about Saliba, who was monstrous, and I'm sure we'll
What a monster!
I'm sure we'll do our own little piece
We
on
should
him.
just go player by
Let's
player.
go. Do it. In fact, do you know what, Cookie? Go into it. Let's do it. Give me some Saliba love.
Saliba. I mean, well, look, I can't give Saliba love without also talking about the guy next to him, Gabriel, who was absolutely superb as well. But because he doesn't look as glamorous on the ball, he doesn't do those little pirouettes and things like that, he probably doesn't get enough credit. But I think we all massively appreciate what Gabriel does. But if I'm talking about Saliba in isolation, it's not the first time he's done a job on Erling Haaland. We can go all the way back to the beginning of this year when Saliba played against Haaland in the FA Cup and was fantastic against him then, and we shouldn't have lost that game, really, if we're being honest. But then played against him again in the Community Shield, was excellent in that game. You can't help but wonder, had he been fit for the trip to the Etihad when we lost 4-1 last season, what the result could have been. But again, today, to keep the best striker in the world to 0.00 XG, and he is the best striker in the world, make no bones about it. The guy is unbelievable. To have him be an anonymous figure throughout the game, huge testament to what is, might sound like an overstatement, in my opinion, the best centre-half in the league. I honestly think Saliba is that good, and I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely with you, mate. We are going to talk about David Raya in a second, but one thing I will say, I agree with you. Let's put this into context. Erling Haaland, before today, Man City has played 7 games in the Premier League. He scored 8 goals. Man City have scored 17 goals before today, and they've conceded 5. They're averaging 2.5 goals a game. So I looked at that result. I looked at today, and I thought, why can't we just play Man City with a full-strength team for once, so that we can go toe-to-toe and see how we fare up against them? And the fact that we've got a clean sheet against City, I think you've got to give props to every single one of those, that back line. But Amanda, I think we do need to talk about David Raya, because I thought his distribution today, it was pretty poor. I think he looked edgy. I think there were times, there was one moment when Gabriel centre-half, Gabriel, played a ball back to him, simple ball, and he just dallied on it a little bit longer. And Alvarez got the block in. It only just went wide of the goal. And then David Raya's turning around to Gabriel saying, "What are you doing that for?" It's like, mate, that's how we play football. So I'm not going to dig him out, because he's a great goalkeeper, but Ramsdale was pulled. He was hooked. After the international break, and David Raya has done decent. He's had a couple of good saves, but to me, again, I've got a couple of question marks over his distribution. So just want to get some thoughts from you, Amanda, on the goalkeeping situation.
He ages me, Chris. He was so, for about 25 minutes, I don't know what he was doing. I just don't understand. If we sat here week after week and said we need a new goalkeeper, Ramsdale's not doing it, we don't mention Ramsdale unless we're positive. May do the odd thing that's a bit, but I had no qualms with Ramsdale. It wasn't a position that I was looking to fill. And he brings Raya in. He's okay. I'm not saying he's a bad goalkeeper. He panicked today. His distribution was terrible.
I think
At
that's
one
harsh.
point,
I'm sorry to butt in.
sorry,
I don't think his
hold on a
distribution is
second.
terrible.
Some of the distribution was terrible.
First
He
half
did
it
some.
was.
Yeah, the first half was, but some of his distribution was outstanding. So that's where I was just going to mention about. He reminds me a tiny bit of Bruce Grobbelaar. He would do mad things, Bruce Grobbelaar, but he was a good goalkeeper. I think he's got to settle in. However, I don't know what Ramsdale's done wrong. I still don't understand any of this. I really don't. But again, and I'll say it again, I'm not the manager. My opinion is I don't know why we changed. He makes me nervous. He really does. But I know Cookie was just going to interrupt and say he disagreed with the bad distribution. Some of it was bad. Some of it was awful. He was so slow at times. I don't know if you saw Ben White screaming for that ball for about 10 times. If I didn't say Ben White 15 times in that first half, he slows the game down. And I don't understand why, unless that's what they wanted. A lot of people, you look on social media at halftime and people were saying, why doesn't he swap him out? You can't take Raya off. You ruin him. It would just ruin him. You can't do that. But that near miss that you were talking about, Chris, is my side. I thought we'd scored. I thought it was in. And I think that would have been an Ibui moment where we would have had to take him off. I'm still not sure why. But I think we'll see in the next coming weeks. I don't know when Ramsdale's going to play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to ask James. I'll give you a rebuttal there because it sounds like you're in disagreement with both Amanda and I on David Raya. I think certainly first half. I don't think second half there was as much, but I think we actually there were less sort of chances that City created in that second half compared to the first half. But for me, I'm looking at this situation now, and I'm thinking if he really does believe that there are two number ones at the club, well, he hooked Ramsdale after that last international break. We've got another international break coming up. Maybe it's an opportunity to say, well, actually, I'm going to give Ramsdale a few games now, and I'm going to do them in blocks, and then it's open to you guys. But whether or not he'll do that, I don't know. But do you want to give us some thoughts on Raya? Because then we'll move on to. I want to talk about the Kovacic stuff next.
And look at Robert, what he said. So maybe that's true, Cookie, because he did slow it down dramatically.
Yeah, and I think, Chris, I'm in total agreement with you, mate. If we have this opportunity after the international break, which we do, to put Ramsdale back in, I 100% would. Because if we are looking at this or Arteta is looking at this as in the sense of, look, I can't judge these guys unless they've got a run of games. Well, Raya's had his run of games now. Let's put our number one back in the six for the next run of games until the next international break. I think that is a more than fair way of doing it, because what isn't fair right now is Ramsdale just being put out in the cold. And let's not forget, he was good against Brentford in the Cup. Like, he's done nothing to suggest that he should be dropped. His distribution was fantastic against Brentford. David Raya today petrified me at times in that first half. If we'd have conceded to that Julian Alvarez chance, that would have killed me, because given how the game played out, given how good we were defensively, and I know that at that period in the game, City were well on top of us, well on top of us, and they probably did deserve a goal at that point. They had that Ake chance. We had Rice clear the ball off the line, and they were probably good for a goal. But if we'd have conceded in that manner, given the defensive work we'd done, I'd have been absolutely devastated. So, yeah, that was a very Petr moment, which I really didn't enjoy. But distribution in the second half was superb. I think for the most part, like 90% of that second half, I thought his distribution was absolutely pinpoint, really, really good. And I think a large part of that was down to Martinelli coming on, because he had a runner to look for. And to Gabriel Jesus as well. I mean, his balls out to Gabriel Jesus were absolutely fantastic. But look, I'm not of the opinion that Raya is the be-all and end-all. I'm not, I want what is best for the team. And if you're putting one up against the other, for me, I'm still picking Aaron Ramsdale, because I want him to be the long-term Arsenal and England number one. I think he's that good of a goalkeeper. But I really don't like that he's just been left out in the cold. It feels to me the exact same as what happened to Bernd Leno when he was, taken out. I've not got an issue with that, because obviously Ramsdale was a significant upgrade. But I don't feel like Raya is a significant enough of an upgrade on Ramsdale, who is younger than Raya, to warrant him being left out of the team. But look, we won today. Raya's had, I think, 3 clean sheets. So Arteta, Raya will look at that as progress. But Ramsdale deserves an opportunity. It's not fair to keep him out in the cold like this.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you. I think we're all in agreement there. Let's move on to. We were going to move on to the Kovacic stuff because Amanda, you're in the upper tier, aren't you? And you're a different sort of part of the pitch to me. James, you're upper tier as well, aren't you?
Indeed.
So I'm lower tier and I'm by the corner flag. In fact, I'm going to look out for myself on Match of the Day because I did get involved in the melee right in front when the players all ran down, and when Martinelli then ran in, I was about six rows back. I found myself just swept along. So I'll probably see if I can find myself jumping up and down tonight when I watch Match of the Day. But that Kovacic situation, we were talking about it just before we went live, Amanda, and I saw it right in front of me. The angle that it came, that I saw Kovacic go in at Ødegaard's ankles. When the yellow card came out, I turned to the guy next to me, Nick, and I said, they've got to look at that. That's a red card. I've seen, last week we saw, was it Curtis Jones sent off for going in over the top of the ball? Well, this was right in at the ankle, and you've got most people, like, seems to be split. There's a few that are suggesting it's one of these, the Wengerism orange card type thing, but it was a yellow card. I don't think so. I think that was a red. I wanted to get your take, Amanda, and then Cookie, your take on it. And then we'll talk about the second one, because that's even more of a disgrace.
So I'm upper tier and I'm looking down straight, sort of diagonally straight. And I looked at Cole and I went, that looks like a red card to me. But it's over the other side of the pitch because I'm the East Stand upper. You don't get to see anything. However, my Scouse mate texted me straight away and said, if he doesn't go for that, then last week he's even more of a joke. He said that's a definite red. It didn't even get looked at, did it? It got looked at by VAR and they didn't even send the ref to go and have a look at the screen. Listen, I'll say it again and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. You're never going to get consistency on an opinion, because you and I could sit here and go, yeah, it's definite red. Cooks could go, no, it's a yellow for me. And that's what it's like with referees. So just because a referee sent someone off last week for something different, doesn't mean this week they're going to do it. However, I think most Arsenal fans and actually most football fans have said he should have gone. Even Gary Neville said it. So it is what it is. I do feel City sometimes in their favour, because if that was Xhaka, and I'll say it again, if that was Ødegaard or any of our players, there wouldn't have even been a debate. He would have been off.
Well, yes. Last season, not last season, season before, we lose 5-0 to City, and in that first half, Granit Xhaka goes in a little bit robustly, and he gets sent off, and there was less contact there.
Well, that's the problem with something that's opinion based. We're all in agreement. I think that we all agree that he should have gone. I think most people do. However, the ref didn't get a chance to see it because he wasn't called to the screen. So where everyone at home is going mad, social media is like every tweet was, how's he got away with that? But then not to go for the second yellow, it is just too much in itself.
Yeah, I mean, Cookie, I'll bring you in on this. So, thoughts on the first one, and then that second one. My brother sent me a still of the moment in which Kovacic's, however you say his name, the cheater, the dirty, rotten cheater, has gone in on Rice's ankle. And in the still there, you look at that and you think, VAR's got to say, Michael Oliver, just have a look at it. Just go to the screen and have a look at that. Because I don't understand how he can give a foul, because Michael Oliver did admit it's a foul, and yet not even book him. You can't go to ground and take someone's ankles and that not be a yellow card in today's game, can you?
Well, let's compare this to the 2 yellow cards that Tomiyasu got away at Crystal Palace.
Oh, don't.
The tamest of pullbacks and a delayed throw-in where it wasn't even him that held the ball for that amount of time. That was a red card. That was a red card. And you're looking at that first one, which, okay, there could be some debate around it, but I think, 75% of us are saying that's a red. But the second one is undoubtedly a yellow. They are both at the very, 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 very minimum yellow cards. And this is what I don't understand, because we've got VAR that should be helping in all areas of officiating. Why can't Michael Oliver have someone in his ear saying, "Oh, Michael, that's a bit dodgy. We think that's a second yellow." VAR should be allowed to intervene in those situations because it is a game-changing decision. And I was furious that he didn't leave the pitch. But in hindsight, I'm kind of glad he stayed on, because we all know if we'd have gone on to beat City, the narrative would have been, "Oh, you only beat him because they had 10 men." So look, I'm glad he stayed on. I'm glad we won, but he 100% should be suffering a suspension, because both challenges, reckless, out of control, and just awful.
Yeah, it was absolutely awful. And you know what? You're right. And that's what in one of the WhatsApp groups I'm in, a lad I know called Luke said, it's good that we don't have to put an asterisk on this victory, because you beat a team with 10 men and there's an asterisk. But at the time, I'm thinking to myself, there is no justice. And at half time, I went round to the concourse to see a couple of lads that I know, and we had a little chat. And honestly, my voice had gone because I'd been screaming so much at the injustice of that Kovacic situation, because I thought the referee went sort of 60-40 in City's favour, which you don't normally get when you're a home team. Normally, if you're an away team, you normally expect to not get the rub of the green. But it did feel like Michael Oliver was just giving them a little bit of an edge. So we get to half time. Martinelli comes on, Amanda. I also wondered whether or not he'd hook Jorginho, and this is another annoying thing, Jorginho was booked for the first foul, and yet he's letting Kovacic get away with what he got away with. But there we go.
Apart from that,
though,
apart from that about the referee, it was all right. It was nothing like dramatic. Half-time, apparently, I just seen this, that Martinelli was only brought on because Trossard's got an injury. Now, I thought he actually did that as some kind of tactic. Very pleased that Martinelli was on the bench, but I was at half-time going, we haven't really played that well first half. They're missing De Bruyne and Rodri. This is our best chance. I'm now starting to feel a tiny bit more positive. Now I'm starting to think a bit more like Cookie. We could get a draw. That I started to think that. When he brought Martinelli on, I kept saying to Cole, but he's not match fit, is he? God, how wrong was I? He lit up the place, and second half was all us. Second half, I felt we deserved our win for a start. I'm very pleased to see him back. He brings some energy, which is what we needed. Arteta has just come out, I've just seen it, and said, you can boo me because I told Raya to hold the game up. So that's probably why we were watching it being quite slow. That was obviously something he'd been ordered to do. Anyway, moving on from Raya. And watching Martinelli down the wing, I just honestly love him. And I think you can see how much we did miss Saka today. But having him back, having Partey back, and then we got to talk about Declan Rice. I haven't even said anything about Saliba. All I'll say about Saliba is definitely on the way to world class, and definitely has
He's there,
Haaland
Amanda. He's there.
Let's have a bit more consistency, and I will agree with you.
What?
No.
Consistency?
I mean many games. Because it's very easy to throw world class out. He's on that level. He's definitely getting there. Okay. I don't quickly throw out world class, but he's definitely on his way. But Gabriel needs as much applause as well for today. But we need to talk about Declan Rice. God almighty, incredible man. But yes, very pleased to see Martinelli come on.
Yeah, James, you and I need to pick Amanda up on something here. William Saliba against Bournemouth last weekend was imperious, made 2 fantastic tackles. William Saliba today took the best striker in world football and pocketed him. We've got somebody joking in the chat, Erling Haaland. It's a brilliant little ditty that whoever came up with that in the chat said. But James, back me up here, mate. Saliba's absolutely world class, isn't he?
Look, mate, I don't need to back you up. It's a fact. He is world class. I'm not getting into this discussion. If he had stayed fit, we would have won the league last season. I will die on that hill. He is that good of a defender. I don't know what you mean about consistency, because last season he was one of the best defenders in the league. This season he's picked up where he's left off. Name me a better right-sided centre half.
I'm not
There isn't one.
saying that, but it doesn't make him world class because there's someone that isn't better in the league. I'm not saying he's not. Oh my
In
God,
the world,
Saliba is
Amanda,
incredible.
please name me one
Okay,
in the world.
I'm not. I can't.
And
But
there we go.
I
Debate
There
ends.
we
I
go.
think I'm.
Fantastic. Well done,
I was-
Chris. The virtual
I think
handshake, mate.
I
Nice one.
think I'm trying to not like wax lyrical too much because I want him to stay where he is. You know, I just don't want any other teams coming in for him or anything because
Just look at the
the man is
comments. Look at
incredible.
the
I love
comments.
him.
They speak for
But then,
themselves.
but okay, all right. And everyone agrees with you anyway. Everybody in
Let's
the
talk
chat.
Declan Rice. Let's
She
talk
was
Declan
Rob
Rice
Holding
because
back,
he
really.
was. Yeah, let's talk Declan Rice because he was once again imperious. He was superb. He controls. He gives us coverage all over the pitch. He wins tackles. He wins tackles at such an amazing rate. Like the duels that he wins. No wonder Arteta said 80 million. No, 85 million. No, 90 million. Just tell me what you want, West Ham. We want him. We'll have him. Give him to us. Because honestly, my brother's a West Ham fan. I've been messaging him for the last few weeks, and all I keep saying every time he messages me is Declan Rice is absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for just giving him to us for 100 million because that looks cheap as chips right now. Amanda, let's have a minute on Declan Rice because I think he deserves some props today. And then Cookie, I'll let you go straight after on Ricey.
Well, we had his youth team coach on, didn't we, last week, Anthony? And the same thing. When I first asked him what we're getting for 105 million quid, we're seeing it game after game after game. And if he carries on like this, he'll be bloody world class by the end of the season as well. He is. There was one tackle today that I just wanted to watch replayed over and over again. He is from minute one to the end of the game, our man. He really is our man in midfield. And I loved when Partey came on and he was pushed a bit further up as well, because I like Declan a bit further up. I just feel we're very lucky to have him. I feel honoured that he chose us. And I'm just over the moon that Declan Rice is in our team because I feel safe with him. I don't know if you two understand what I mean by that, but when he's on the ball, he is just his vision is just immense. I love him. I love him so much. And £105 million, he's worth more.
Absolutely. Cookie, I'm going to get you in. I'm just going to throw some stats at you. 57 touches, 36 out of 40 accurate passes, 2 key passes, 3 long balls, 2 completed, 1 dribble attempt. He won 7 ground duels. He won an aerial duel. He had 2 clearances, 1 clearance off the line, 1 block shot, 3 interceptions, 3 tackles, and he was only dribbled past once. Declan Rice, do you love him a little bit?
I love him a lot, mate. And I think, Amanda, you can agree on this one. He's world class. I don't think there's any. Oh my God! Look! No!
Okay, if you read Enzo's comment, I'm a little bit with Enzo's comment. Brilliant player and will get better and better, but not world class yet. I'm there. That's where I am with him. I think Saliba's more world class than Declan Rice at the moment.
Oh my God!
I don't feel you can say that.
I'm going to
after
hand in my
6, 7
resignation to the pod because this is just you guys have lost the plot. Not you, Chris. Sorry,
James. He's played 7 games for us or whatever it is. Just give me a few more months and then I'll be with you.
SofaScore rates him as 7.7 along with Ben White. They were the two players that, according to SofaScore, stood out as the best players. James Cook.
Yeah, I mean, let's park the world class chat for the time being because I think we're gonna start a whole other podcast debate that we might potentially have to do during the international break. Who's world class?
Apparently, we always have a love-in, don't we, James? We just have a love-in. Someone told us this week on Twitter that all we do is agree. Bit strange.
Well,
that's
we decided to mix things up a bit.
That's
today,
Twitter and social media
with each other.
But look, Declan Rice in that left 8 position today. That for me is his position in this team, and I want to see him there in the long term. I thought he was absolutely. I mean, what can I say? Superb, enigmatic, world class, amazing, brilliant. I just loved his performance all round, and I think what you get from him in that position, where he's allowed to go forward and look at the areas he wins the ball in. He wins it so high up the pitch. It's so important to our attacking game. And you might think that playing him and Jorginho or Partey or whoever it may be is too defensive, but if you're getting someone that is able to win the ball in the opposition final third and lay it into Odegaard, to lay it into Jesus and Nketiah, Saka, Martinelli, it creates problems. There aren't a lot of players in world football that can do that. And I really think if we're going to see the best of Declan Rice, he needs to be playing that further up the pitch. And he's got the dribble on him. He can run forwards. He can pass the ball. I really do believe this was an audition for him playing in that role in the long term. And when Partey is up and running, I hope we see it more often. And okay, in some games, if we're playing the likes of Bournemouth, maybe we don't have to play that way. We can play Havertz or Vieira or Smith Rowe, and it's great to have these options. But for the likes of City, for any big game, especially for Champions League away games, I'd love to see Partey, Rice, Odegaard. And I think we've got to give a special mention to Jorginho today, because part of Rice's great performance was down to the good performance from Jorginho. I mean, the great performance from Jorginho. I'm doing him a disservice there. I was very worried about him coming into the team, but I thought he was just brilliant. I really, really enjoyed his performance, especially after what was a very cagey game against Spurs. He just looked so composed, distribution fantastic. And he was just great at just moving the ball quickly, taking it past a couple of players on occasion. And I think he shut a lot of people up, including myself. So, yeah, well done, Jorginho.
I mean, in the spirit of the fact that we got accused of this being a love bin, I'm going to slightly disagree with you there.
And I am as well.
He lost possession. He lost possession 9 times in that match.
Half.
I don't think Jorginho.
Look, that first half, I think for half an hour, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I thought we were battered. Like for half an hour of the game, I don't think we were good at all, and it just really felt, if I'm being totally frank, it felt like men against boys. City weren't doing a lot with the ball, but like we alluded to earlier, if they take that Ake chance, if Rice isn't there to clear the header off the line, if Alvarez puts that ball in the back of the net, this could have been a very different game, because we know what they're like when they go a goal up. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But there was a period where we just couldn't get the ball off them. And it wasn't just Jorginho that was losing the ball. Loads of players were losing the ball. But when we got control of the game, he started to flourish, I felt.
Yeah, it did feel like
Jorginho in a nutshell.
I don't think he was... he wouldn't be someone that stood out for me, though. I think he got better. I don't think he was that great, fun enough. But anyway, sorry, Chris, go on.
Well, I was just going to say that... I think the first 15 minutes, certainly, it also felt like there was a lot of, when the ball sort of sprayed out into a 50-50, it seemed to fall to a City player, which was somewhat frustrating. And certainly in that second half, there was a couple of times where the first half, actually, sorry, it was more, it felt like every time a ball would be loose, the City player would get onto it. And so it was slightly worrying. I think second half, we were better in more patches. Some stats for you guys, some overall game stats. So 12 attempts for Arsenal, only 4 attempts for City. Again, just underlying how good we were defensively. 2 on target.
Lowest amount of shots they've had since 2010.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic. Passing accuracy, us 86.5, them 86.6. And I want to pick up on that, actually, because I don't know about you guys, but I'll go on to you for this one, Cookie. But it felt to me like a really cagey match. Like, they gave us a lot of respect and we gave them a lot of respect. One of the things that I think was interesting was when we have the ball, when our goalkeeper has the ball, David Raya deliberately holds onto it, because what Arsenal want to do is draw a defender or draw an attacker onto them. So then actually it brings that person out of play. And so effectively you're going 10 versus 9, if you like, because you've drawn someone out of play. But Man City do the same thing. And so you could just see it in the first half and the second half. We would hold onto the ball and wait, and they would wait. And it was a very cagey sort of match. Did you feel that certainly in the second half?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I felt that throughout the entire game, to be honest. We were very slow to release the ball, and City didn't want to press us. Likewise, we didn't particularly want to do the same. But what I would say is in that second half, when we really came to life, we didn't let Edison have any time on the ball. We pressed, and I wish we'd have done that from the start, because I really think we had a massive mental shift at half-time from, okay, we're up against a world-class opponent. This is a cagey game. We're showing them way too much respect. And in the second half, we're just like, no, we're just going to play our game. We're Arsenal. We're at home. We're going to go at them. And that's exactly what we did. And I wish we'd have done that from minute 1. But it was just, good to see. Good to see that Arsenal press. I think we did it very, very well. I would say the City's team felt very disjointed if that's the right word to describe it. I mean, they had Bernardo Silva effectively playing as their defensive midfielder, which I thought was really weird. They had Rico Lewis in midfield. They had Kovacic kind of alongside him. Very strange team, very, very strange team. But look, we kept all of their dangerous players quiet. I know they're missing, Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne. We're missing players as well, but they've got quality players that can come in. I mean, you look at that City lineup, it's not like it's a poor side. So yeah, really, really good job today. And certainly for that first half, it was very cagey. But then we took the impetus and, it was all Arsenal.
Yep. And in that second half, the clock is running down. We talked about how the fans really, really sort of spurred on the team, drove on the team. We had Martin Odegaard doing that. We had Arteta doing that, sort of trying to get the crowd on. And then we get to 85 minutes, Amanda, and the magic happens. Interestingly enough, I've had a few words to say about Kai Havertz, but he came on and played centre forward. And actually, I thought he did pretty good. He held the ball up well. And interestingly, on that goal, all four of the Arteta subs were all involved. Partey playing it to Tomiyasu, who headed it to Havertz, who then controlled it, was strong, and then a good pass to Martinelli. And all right, we get a bit of luck with the deflection, but I think we'd earned it, haven't we?
Absolutely, I think 100%. But I don't understand the Havertz obsession. He's only just joined us. I think if he wasn't from Chelsea and didn't play badly at Chelsea, it's quite bad, that we'd be having any of these conversations, because people would be saying, we've just got to take time to bed in. I've never really been on Havertz back. There was only one question I had a few weeks ago. What did Arteta see in him? Where's his best position? But when they came on, it was fantastic to see Partey back. Oh, you just feel Partey and Rice just are having a party. And to have all four subs involved in that goal, I mean, I just love Tomiyasu anyway. I wanted some energy in the second half, and we got it. It was a completely different game for us. I felt we had a chance then. Then at about 80 minutes, I was like, we could actually do it. So from thinking we're going to lose at the beginning to maybe getting a draw at half time, I was like, now we've got to go for it. We've got to go for it, because they could easily score. They're that jammy, City, especially against us at the Emirates, when we deserved to win it last year as well. And I felt City's defence was really good. Edison's a good goalkeeper, of course. I don't feel they had much up front. This is our best chance. We got to go for it. And we went for it. The crowd were incredible. I heard one Man City song the whole game. It was just a hive of electricity. And then you've got Havertz knocking it down for Martinelli. I actually thought Martinelli scored until I saw the replay on the screen. And sometimes you need the rub of the green. Sometimes you need luck to be on your side. And I don't know what player it came off, what defender it was.
Ake. I think it might have been Ake.
Ake, that's it. Yeah, I call him Ake. It's Ake. And then obviously what I'm then watching is everyone running to where you are, because I'm up above and I'm watching it. And I swear, for the second, no word of a lie, and I did say I would explain this. It's been a little bit of a tough week. My dad was taken ill. Thank you for all your lovely messages. He's okay. Obviously, things that have happened this weekend around the world are not good. And I felt quite emotional sitting there today. So when that went in, I shed a tear. And I haven't done that for a long time. Going from thinking we were going to lose to it was 4 minutes of normal time, maybe another 10 minutes. I actually went into shock. I normally go mental and jump on everyone and kiss everyone. I just literally stood back and went, I can't believe we've just scored. This is incredible. And the scenes around this, I just kept looking, and then I was waiting to watch the goal again. And it was emotional. It was deserved. And for Martinelli, I hope it's been given to him. I don't know if it's classed as fantastic. For him to come on, everything about those 4 substitutions from Mikel Arteta were spot on.
Yep, 100%. James, I want to get your emotions on the Martinelli goal. What you did, who you kissed, who you hugged. But before I do that, just to let you guys know, for the last sort of 5-10 minutes, we're going to go through some questions. So pop your questions in the chat, and Amanda will star them, and then we'll try and get through as many as we can. Captain Cook, your emotions when that goal went in, please.
I couldn't really believe it, to be honest with you, because we we're playing so well at that point, and I just felt like we weren't going to score because there was someone put it in the chat as well. Havertz laid off a lovely ball to Gabriel Jesus, who should have done an awful lot better. He took way too many touches and just lost the ball. But I felt like at that point in the game, Havertz coming on was exactly what we needed, just to hold up the ball, to bring other players into it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling more and more and more like he's a centre forward rather than a midfielder. He just seems to affect the play so much more in that area of the pitch. But yeah, really enjoyed his cameo, massive part in the goal. But you've also got to give credit to Thomas Partey, who starts off the move, who I thought was very good when he came on. So good to have him back. Let's hope he stays fit. But I do want to highlight Takahiro Tomiyasu, who came on again, exceptional. But I have no idea why he was so high up the pitch. But he obviously smelt a chance and perfectly cushioned header into the path of Kai Havertz, who then cushions it down onto Martinelli as well. But Tomiyasu's a guy that over the summer, I think a lot of people were, quick to label as a bit average, quite limited. And last season when he played at left back, I wasn't injury prone yet, which, we can't say for certain that he's gotten over those injury problems yet. But he is such a good player. He is such a good footballer. And to have him at Arsenal as a utility player, a guy that can play anywhere across the back four, and even today was virtually playing as an attacker. I mean, it's great. His technical understanding of the game is brilliant. And he's also physically an absolute powerhouse. And he's still quite young as well. So brilliant player to have. Loved his performance today. And I actually think he's getting better in that left back role. Yep. And I think he's fantastic as a centre half too. But look, in terms of the goal, Martinelli, I can't think of a guy that deserved it more. When he came on, he completely changed the dynamic of the game. I don't think he's really... Has he scored this season? I think that might have been his first goal of the season. So really, really, really pleased for him to put the ball in the back of the net. And I mean, look, it was weird for me at the time because the bloke that sits to my left had gone to the toilet. The people that sit to my right, her little boy has got a Martin Ødegaard sign that says, "Martin Ødegaard, can I please have your shirt?" So they'd gone down to the front row to try and get his shirt at full time. So I was kind of there on my own, which was a bit strange. I did have the bloke's dad who sits next to me, but he's quite old. I didn't really want to jump on him. But no, I was just there kind of bewildered that the ball had got in the back of the net, and yeah, had a few cuddles, few kisses. And yeah, what can you say? I'm just so glad
just
we
a good old time.
Yeah, it was never in doubt, was it? Like after the goal went in, I never really felt like City were going to put the ball in the net. They never really challenged us. I mean, that Doku pass, but that Doku pass that went out absolutely nowhere. Was it Doku or whoever it was? And the crowd just erupted. I was like, nah, they're not getting a chance.
No, I never think like that. I was actually taking deep breaths. I was trying to just calm because I'd been so stressed that I was like, I'm taking deep breaths and I've got to get through the next 4-10 minutes, whatever it is they're going to put on. I didn't feel like there was a lot of extra time. And I was just like, I can't believe we've scored. And then my brain was going, well, we shouldn't lose now because maybe it'll be a draw if they get, because it's just so Man City to go and score. But we'll all be looking out for you on Match of the Day too tonight, young Christopher.
Yeah. Do you know what? After that goal went in, so I'm wearing shorts. It's a hot day today. And if you are somebody that goes to the Emirates regularly, you'll know that the red paint that they have on the actual seats is a bit of a nightmare. I've got red marks all over my shorts where I was stood up, like pressed right up against. I was leaning right up against the seats in front of me because I was leaning over so much just in nervous anticipation. But just in answer to your question, Cookie, he has not scored this season. He's got 2 assists, Gabriel Martinelli. So yeah, first goal for him and thoroughly deserved as well. And what was a big sigh of relief, 4 minutes added time. I don't know about you guys, but I could have sworn there wasn't any need for extra time, any additional time.
No, do you know what was lovely, Chris? Not one player on that pitch today for either team time wasted. There wasn't anything. They do like to take their throw-ins about 7 yards away from where they should be taking their throw-ins.
Yeah, Carl Walker's an expert at that.
Oh, they just keep moving up the pitch, but there was no time wasting today, which was beautiful to see, which then only brought 4 minutes.
Yep, exactly, and that was good. And you could tell that it wasn't going to be. It shouldn't have been a long sort of a bit of added time. There was when the Arsenal subs were waiting to come on. I think they were waiting for about 2 or 3 minutes because the ball was just in play the whole time. So yeah, it was the right thing to do. We see out the game. It's 1-0 to the Arsenal. What a lovely rendition of 1-0 to the Arsenal. We haven't heard that for a while, and a lovely clean sheet. And that's an important thing. I think that's a big psychological thing. Beating Man City is a big psychological thing. But I think clean sheets as well, because that's something we've all talked about at home. we've not been keeping clean sheets. But we did it today. We were superb today defensively and thoroughly deserved of the 3 points overall, I felt. The only thing that I will just touch on before we'll start to get into some questions in a few minutes and get your guys' thoughts on, because I haven't seen any of this, because obviously I was leaving and I haven't seen any of the stuff on social media, because I got home and just had my AFC pie, chicken pie that my wife had made for me. Put little AFC on there, so as a bit of a celebration, which was lovely. But apparently there were some scuffles in the tunnel afterwards. I don't know if anyone in the chat can give us a bit of a heads up in that, or Cookie, because Amanda, I know we were speaking about it beforehand and we weren't sure, but I don't know if you've heard anything, James, but apparently was it Grealish and Ben White getting into a little bit of a scuffle?
Well, I saw that it was to do with Carl Walker and our set piece coach. It looks like our set piece coach, I can't remember his name, but went to shake his hand. Walker's refused it, and I'm pretty sure our guy has probably said something to him that's riled him up. And it looks like he goes to square up to him, and then Haaland gets involved as well. And yeah, I mean, it's just handbags, really, nothing too much in it, but emotions were high.
I'm going to say Kyle Walker is an absolute scumbag. There was right over my corner when Martinelli had the ball at one point. Kyle Walker was like punching him in the back. He was pushing him in the back and whacking him on the back. Kyle Walker is also the guy that last season, when we played at the Etihad in the FA Cup, I think it was, at the end of the match, he went over to Zinchenko and he was like goading him. I know they're mates, but he was like goading him and like sticking his tongue out at him and laughing and stuff. And Zinchenko got the ump, I think, a bit because of it. So Kyle Walker is an absolute flaming hypocrite if he's taking this game badly, and if he's unhappy, because he's the first one to be laughing and joking in other people's expenses. So in your face, a bit of schadenfreude from me, Chris, to Kyle Walker. I hope you can't sleep tonight, you utter scumbag. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, look, Chris, are you even surprised? Do you remember what this guy did during the lockdown? Not that we're going to get into that, but come on. I mean, we know what this guy's all about.
Yeah, he's not worth talking about, actually. He really isn't. Let's go to the questions and
Well, just before we go into the questions,
okay.
I want to get your thoughts on one thing, though. This feels like, I don't know about you guys. Well, we've talked about this because obviously we do the post-match shows. It doesn't feel like we've arrived this season. Just this is my words, but I don't know how to put it better. But we've all talked about how it doesn't feel like we haven't quite clicked. Maybe the PSV game, we were good. The Bournemouth game, we were good, but there were still times, there were still moments. It doesn't feel like last season. This time last season, we were just on a roll. We just were, everything was superb. We were scoring goals, we were free flowing, and it's felt like it hasn't quite clicked. But my hope is that today, and also the performance, it feels like we've arrived, like this proper Arsenal team has arrived. Thoughts from that, Cookie, and then Amanda.
And I'm in complete agreement with you. It did click against PSV, but I don't think it's any coincidence that we've seen Declan Rice at left 8 today and Arsenal suddenly look really good. And look, I think we've looked good in other games as well, but I think this is the blueprint for this Arsenal team. And going forwards, I don't think it always has to be this, but Partey, Rice, Ødegaard has the potential to be the best midfield three in the league. You combine that with the back four that we all know is already, bordering on world class. Then you've got the goalkeeper debate. We won't get into that. But then you've got that front three of Martinelli, Saka and Jesus. This team with everyone there fit. And we know that's not going to happen over the course of the season. But look, it has the potential to be so exciting. And we've got so many players, the likes of Tomiyasu, Fabio Vieira, Kai Havertz even today, that can come in and do a job and affect games. I'm getting very distracted, Chris, because your cat looks like it's trying to escape.
Your cat looks like he wants
climbing
to
the walls. He's obviously as excited as me. He's climbing the walls.
He wants to be on the show.
Behave yourself, Amanda.
I don't agree.
Have we arrived?
Look at this. No? We're not agreeing. I think if you watched us against Lons the other night, and today is a massive result, of course, absolutely. I don't think we've 100% clicked yet. I think last season we just enjoyed the ride. Every game we were just like, we didn't expect it. Now there's more pressure on us this season. We all knew that was going to happen. Talk to me in a couple more games after we play Chelsea away, and then we got another one at home. We'll see. Arrived.
All right.
I don't think we've 100% clicked yet. No, I don't. I think this situation with Eddie up front and Jesus on the wing it doesn't suit me. It's not what I want. But what I want is I want our players to come back fit after the the Interdal. So we can have that choice again. I didn't think Trossard was great today as well, but you know what? I'm not being negative. I can't be negative. It's just an amazing win.
Yep, absolutely. Just as we get into the questions, Amanda's going to ask the question. Just a quick one that Carl's called up. What's my cat called? It's Iago. It's named after the parrot from Disney's Aladdin. My cat is called Iago. There we go. Letting you all into some insider knowledge. But Amanda, what Arsenal related questions, non-cat related questions do we have?
Right. I just want to bring something in that I think is just so lovely to hear. Our United fan, proper celebrations they were. Bit jealous of the Emirates atmosphere, I'll be honest. Never thought I'd hear a United fan ever say that. But you know what? You should be jealous. It is incredible. I mean, the East Stand started off so many songs today. I'm so proud of my lot in the upper tier. We started off so many songs that never would happen. So, Barnaby, yes, I've been to Old Trafford many times and I'm pleased that you've appreciated that. Right. Okay, we haven't discussed this. Who was People's Man of the Match out of curiosity from Robert Stevens? By the way, hello to everybody in the chat room. Chris, who's your man of the match?
I think it's going to be Big Bill Saliba.
Okay.
Cookie?
Cooks?
Oh, God. This is so hard. I'm going to go with Gabriel Martinelli. And I know he didn't play the whole game, but I just thought without him,
changer.
Yeah, we wouldn't have won this game. He absolutely changed the dynamic of things. Just wanted it from the minute he came on. So, yeah, Martinelli for me.
Who was yours, Amanda?
I'm more Saliba and Rice. I'm trying to choose, and I think I'd go Saliba this time, if I'm honest.
So you've chosen both of the non-world class players.
Shut up. Yeah. Let's just see what they say in the chat rooms. I never do this, but a few people are saying Declan or Saliba. Yeah, I sort of agree. Martinelli. We have got a Martinelli here as well. I think it's great that we're discussing that there isn't just one. That's lovely. Thanks, Rob, for your question. Okay. Stephen Richards, when are we going to acknowledge how good Gabriel is? Saliba great, but Gabriel is superb. Now, Cooks, you often go on about Gabriel, don't you?
Always.
You can elaborate?
Well, I mean, look, I feel
it really helps being on a podcast.
Yeah.
It really helps if you don't use one word answers.
I covered this earlier, guys. Like, I think Gabriel is, I think he's a completely different player or defender to William Saliba. He is
blood and thunder.
Yeah. I mean, look, yeah. I don't know how I can best describe it. One of them is just suit and tie, suited to the nines. He's got his Louis Vuitton belt on. The other one is just an absolute King Kong, just smashing everything in his path. He's absolutely fantastic. I love the combination, that suave and charisma with the guy that just bulldozes everything out of the way. And they've just got such a good understanding on the pitch. And they're both so young as well. Like this could be an Adams and Bold type partnership for the years to come. It could even be better.
It's growing that way. It is growing that way. Anything to add to that, Chris?
No, I think that's spot on. Next question.
Josh, does this match prove that Arteta can rest and rotate and still get results?
Yes. I don't think he's rotated though, has he? He's pulled players that are injured and he's been forced to play other players. I think what we need to see for me to fully be able to say yes on that is an example was from Tuesday where really maybe we should have had Saka from the bench and brought him on. If he's doing things like that and it's still working, then I'd say yes. But I think he was more forced into it today.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Cookie?
I think we were coming up against a City side that obviously had their own problems, so that played a part in it. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I do think we can rotate to an extent. I mean, Jorginho, for example, is the sort of guy that could have played against Lens. We've got players like Tomiyasu, who obviously did play against Lens, but we've got an ample squad that I think needs to be used more. And I think in those games against the likes of Lens, we should have a bit more trust in the likes of Reece Nelson, etc. Because we have got quality players in depth. It's not like we're relying on Maro and Shamak and Sebastian Scolacci anymore. We've got good guys that can come and do a job.
I think we can if we've got fit players. It proved it, didn't it? Brought Martinelli back on and Partey changes the game. Right, Stephen Richards, although we have sort of covered this, are you happy with Jesus wide and Nketiah through the middle? Doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me either. Do you two agree or disagree?
I think I do. I would say that Kai Havertz coming on and playing through the centre, I wouldn't mind giving that a try actually, because I think Eddie was all right. He chased, he harried, he got a couple of blocks in, but we didn't really see much from him in a game like today. Eddie and Nketiah are home to Sheffield United or Nottingham Forest or Crystal Palace. I don't mind it, but against someone like Man City, I'm just not sure that it works as well. Don't know about you, Cooks.
Yeah, I think with Eddie, the bare minimum expectation from him is to work hard, win your duels, etc. And he did all that today. He had a fairly okay game, but he just doesn't have that bit beyond that makes him a really, really, really good player. He put in a fantastic challenge on, I think, Kyle Walker, your best mate, Chris, and that got the crowd going. And apart from that, he just doesn't really get involved in the game in the way you'd want him to. Jesus, I thought, was good on the right-hand side, but always wants to drift in. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a front three of Jesus, Havertz, Martinelli. I think that could potentially work. But for me, Jesus is best through the middle. Hopefully Saka's back after the international break and we can go back to that beautiful front three of Saka, Jesus, Martinelli.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Hatchie964. Would it be right to rest Saka for the rest of the month? I think he's definitely pulled out of the England squad, thank God. And I was listening.
Yep.
Yeah, I was
Has that been
listening to
confirmed?
Talk Sport on the way home because I had to. I can't stand listening to it. And one of the commentators on Talk Sport was saying that Arsenal fans will be very happy about that. And I was like nodding in the car. And then Alan Pardew went, no, not really. Not if they're England fans. Not if they're proper football fans. Are you off your head, mate? I was like, no, I'm absolutely thrilled that he's going to get a rest for the next 2 weeks. I don't want him anywhere near the England squad. He needs to rest. And I think that I often say this, England don't pay his wages, we do. Okay. And if he's not fit to play with us, he's not fit to play for England.
Yep. Can't argue with that. And maybe this is a little bit of maybe it's a little bit of Arsenal playing and Arteta playing some good mind games there and good games.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, we don't need it. We need him. If he can sit out for the next 10, 12 days and he completely recovers from all of these knocks and we get a good Bukayo Saka back, ultimately England shouldn't be relying on him. They've got enough players that they should be able to get past. I think it's Italy they're playing or whoever it is. So for me, yeah, this is only good.
Rob Servant, welcome to the show, Rob. Question about Raya. Bearing in mind his performance thus far, is it beneficial that he's only been signed on a season-long loan?
He will definitely, it won't be a loan. Obviously, it is a loan, but I think there's an amount of appearances that he has to make, which will almost certainly hit that automatically triggers it into a permanent deal. I wouldn't even consider looking at this as a loan because it will inevitably turn permanent. So yeah, that's my take on it. Sorry, I can't be more elaborate.
Yeah,
and mine.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, it's he signed a 1-year extension with Brentford so that they can get a fee from it rather than losing him for free. And it was something to do with the FFP stuff as to why Arsenal didn't then pay the money up front for him because we'd obviously already spent on Havertz and Rice as well. So I think that it's basically a done deal. You might as well call it. It's just almost as if they've just said we'll pay you the full amount next year.
Yeah. With that in mind, it has to be asked, Raya or Ramsdale for you, Cooks?
At the moment, I'm still. I hate these questions. I'm gonna pick Ramsdale for the time being.
Chris?
Yep. Me too. I think I don't think he'll do it, but I do like the idea of the international break almost being like a sort of a full stop between playing the two keepers, and I think it gives a good opportunity to bring Ramsdale back in and have him feel like he's part of the fold as well. So yeah, for me, certainly that's what I would do. We have hit 9:30 and we've got to make a move in a minute, but should we do 2 more questions and then
yes, quick question from John Rowe. Another one. Would you take beaten Spurs over today?
No,
today.
Wouldn't.
No, would I? Absolutely not. Let's just end with Richard's question, because then we can go into our Chelsea predictions. Richard said, how are we all feeling about Chelsea, given that they've started to put a couple of results together?
I feel like Chelsea, it's been funny to laugh at their results this season. I don't think, their metrics show that they've actually been as bad as their results have made out. Defensively, they've actually been pretty solid, and, they seem to create a lot of opportunities. Their problem was putting the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, they had a good win away at Fulham, which is never an easy place to go and win at. Then they've got a fantastic win against Burnley, beating them 4-1. They've scored 6 goals in the past 2 games. Defensively, look pretty sound. I think even if they were going into this game having, let's say, lost the past 2 matches anyway, I still don't think this would be a given. I don't think it'll be an easy game by any means. I think if we go there and win, it'll be by a very narrow margin. But I've got enough faith in this defence to keep, Nicholas Jackson, Mudryk quiet. If they can keep, Erling Haaland down to 0.00 XG, then surely they can go there and keep Chelsea's sort of out of sorts attack quiet. So yeah, I'm not hugely confident, but at the same time, I think it's a game that we should be looking to win. I think you've got to win that game if you want to win the title, but I don't think it'll be easy.
Yeah,
I think that it depends. We can't really say much, can we? We don't know who's going to be fit when they come back from international duty. I'm sure most of them are going off. So should we do predictions for Chelsea, unless you want to say anything else, Chris?
Yeah, I was just going to say that for me, if providing touch wood, everyone comes back fit, if we're looking at a team which is Raya, Ramsdale, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, White, Partey, Rice, Ødegaard, Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli, that's a pretty tasty team. I fancy us to maybe 1-0 it. I'd fancy us to 1-0 it.
Oh, hold on, I've got my pen. So you are 1-1, yeah? Cooks, what's yours?
Exact same for me.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go, I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, but I'm going to go 1-2, going for a win. I can see everybody in here is quite positive with their predictions. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks, probably 2 weeks tonight for the post-game show. But Cooks, you're going to be back for your preview show, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll be back in one of the days leading up to the Chelsea game, unless we've got anything planned to do next weekend. Maybe we can fit something in, potentially.
We might get a guest, a real fantastic guest, because some of our guests are
I'll be
fantastic.
in Portugal, though. So I'll be in Portugal for the weekend, so may or may not be able to join you. But thank you very much, everyone in the chat. It's been really good to get so many people, so many views. It's been some fantastic, and we're all very, very happy. You can all go and enjoy your evening. From Amanda, thank you very much, Amanda.
Just one other thing, Chris. Just to let you know, we are sponsored by Ruth Beckart. Please go and check her out. And also in our next, in Cooks' preview show, we're going to have a brilliant prize for you all. So please go and check out Ruth Beckart and come and join Cookie Wednesday or Thursday week around 6 to 8 o'clock. But if you subscribe and press that little bell, you'll get notified. And if you are listening on audio, we really appreciate it. There's more listeners every week. So if you could rate and follow us, that'd be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Cheers. And Cookie, thank you very much, as always.
No need to thank me, mate. Part of the furniture these days. So, yeah, pleasure as always.
Part of the furniture.
It's just being polite. I mean, if you want, I could just say, Cookie, did you have to turn up?
It's like that attitude. Look at him. Look, because he's beat Man City. He's like cocksure, as they say.
I know that's how I've been walking around my flat today, just tail up,
like Conor McGregor.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a West Ham fan that lives downstairs. I bowled in my Arsenal shirt. Won't even look me in the eye. It's fantastic stuff.
Yeah, they did well though for us today.
They did.
Sorry, they beat Drew Newcastle, which is good. Anyway.
Yep, we've had a good set of results today. Liverpool drawing against Brighton as well. So thank you very much to everyone in the chat, and hopefully we're going to see you next time on the same old Arsenal podcast. Laters.